Coming up, do you know who this is? We'll tell you what someone says he saw him steal. Would the business you work for make getting a COVID-19 shot mandatory? And our national investigative team goes undercover to find out why a law meant to give low-income people access to healthier food isn't being followed. Valley News Live at 10 is next.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening, everyone. A Fargo family is the latest victim in catalytic converter thefts. It happened in broad daylight in the Rosewood neighborhood up in North Fargo. And the person who did it was caught on video. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling brings us the story.
This is the sound of a car without its catalytic converter. It was stolen Thursday afternoon. A neighbor in the area was able to catch the thief on camera in the act.
Upon hearing that, I called 911 to let police know what was going on in hopes of them catching this person in the act.
Underneath the car, you can clearly see that the converter was cut off. The neighbor saw that the man was using an electric saw. Level Updahl wants people to be aware, no matter where you live, it can happen to your vehicle.
Never would have thought that it would happen to us, broad daylight, right outside of our house.
Level Updahl and her family just want the person responsible caught.
So if he's dumb enough to do this in broad daylight, he would be willing to do this at any point in time. So I literally just want him off the street.
In North Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Anyone with information is asked to contact police. And remember, you can get your catalytic converter marked at OK Tire free of charge. This initiative was started back in April. It can help identify a stolen converter when the thief tries to sell it. A flurry of 911 calls sent Fargo police rushing to a local park last night after witnesses say a man dressed in a ballistic vest with a gun was hanging around the bike path. Fargo police responded to the 1700 block of 27th Avenue South and say this isn't the first time they've been called about this man. We aren't naming him because while police say this isn't something you see every day, what he's doing is not against the law.
I was in plain view and the weapon was unloaded, which in the state of North Dakota, unless you're prohibited from owning a firearm, any North Dakota citizen can be in possession of a handgun.
Fargo police say the man in question is cooperative and with officers and provides both his ID and his concealed weapons permit. New information tonight, a man injured in a Moorhead house fire earlier this week has died. 62-year-old Robert Blue of Moorhead died Wednesday at a Fargo hospital. Police are continuing to investigate the cause of his death. The fire forced the evacuation of a daycare provider and several children who were in the house. They were not injured. That home is only used as a daycare and no one lives there. Investigators say that fire appears to have started in a second-floor kitchen. At least one person was killed, 2 others injured in a house explosion in Princeton, Minnesota today. Princeton is north of Minneapolis and east of St. Cloud. That house was destroyed. You're looking at aerial video showing emergency responders surrounding the debris in a neighborhood on the north side of that city. The state fire marshal said investigators are looking into the cause. Certainly a pretty scary start to the day for people living in a South Fargo apartment complex. Several garages destroyed or significantly damaged. It happened along 14th Street and Oak Manor Avenue. That's just behind our station here at Valley News Live. 5 vehicles were destroyed along with everything that was inside those garages. No word yet on the cause or damage estimate. Here's one more look at that fire. A Valley News Live viewer sent it to us, someone living in a nearby apartment complex. Certainly she had quite the view. Keep in mind, however, that Fargo Fire reminds everyone to leave the building quickly. Call 911 right away when you see smoke or flames. Now, not long after that, fire crews were called not too far away, just a few blocks. This fire was near 26th Avenue and 15th Street South in Fargo. Firefighters found smoke in a second-floor unit. They say an open door allowed the smoke to fill the hallway, making it hard for people to get out. Some people jumped from their second-floor balconies to safety. 3 people are spending the night elsewhere as a result. Minnesota could collect more than $300 million in a settlement between states and opioid manufacturers and distributors. The Attorney General for the state says the settlement will bring much-needed relief to communities that have been devastated by the opioid crisis. The spending will be overseen by Minnesota's Opioid Epidemic Response Advisory Council. Local governments have until January 1st to join the settlement. Sanford Health has made the call to make the COVID-19 vaccine mandatory to all of its employees by the start of November. And their vice president is hoping that their decision-making inspires others to do the same. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling brings us that story.
But fact is, we feel very strongly this was a decision made after lots of consideration, a lot of review of the science and feedback.
Sanford Health's move calls for all of its employees to be vaccinated by November 1st, stating that it's for the safety of their staff and the patients that come in.
We want our patients, of course, but our employees to be safe and be able to keep on the job.
Meanwhile, in Grand Forks, All True tells us they continue to monitor the situation, and at this time, they are not requiring employees to get the COVID-19 vaccination. Dr. Griffin hopes Sanford's decision inspires other businesses to require the vaccine.
Employers, academic institutions, other agencies to mandate the vaccine. Frankly, I think that I hope it does. But again, to my point, I think healthcare needs to be the leaders on this.
In Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
There's been a lot of online discussion on this issue today, and to join in, visit our Facebook page and look for this story. North Dakota's economy is going strong with more than $1 billion surplus in general funding. The new figures out today are $300 million more than expected for the 2019-21 budget cycle. This extra money comes from larger collections in sales, income, and corporate taxes than expected. Part of that surplus will go to the state's rainy day fund. Budget officials say federal stimulus payments helped the state by keeping consumer spending strong despite a global pandemic. Capitol Police arrested Democratic Representative Hank Johnson of Georgia today during a voting rights protest in the nation's capital. According to video posted on Twitter, the protest was over Senate inaction on voting rights legislation. 9 others were arrested during the demonstration. Johnson becomes the second lawmaker to be arrested in less than 2 weeks while protesting for voting rights. We're learning tonight that the FBI got more than 4,500 tips in 2018 as part of a background investigation into then Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. The Bureau says it referred relevant tips to then President Trump's White House counsel. Kavanaugh's nomination process was marred by a sexual assault accusation dating back to high school. Kavanaugh fiercely denied the accusation, as well as others that followed. The new information reignites accusations from liberals who say the FBI and the Trump White House did not sufficiently examine the allegations. Still ahead tonight on Valley News Live at 10, the Stones are ready to roll again when the rock and roll icons will be playing in Minneapolis. Up next, Hutch is back with details on why the Storm Team has declared a first alert weather day for tomorrow.